Hi, it's that time again. Time for a nice garden chat. I am joined today by Robin from Robin Gardens. Uh, if for any reason you are not affiliated with her channel, when we're done here, you need to run over there and give it a look. It's wonderful. She's a fabulous gardener. And like me, she gardens in a suburban setting, correct? Like you're pretty much a backyard gardener like I am. Yes.
I'm definitely a backyard gardener. Sorry, I had to
Yes.
get rid of the double talking. There we go.
Oh, yeah. So it looks like we've got a lot of regulars in the chat. Hello, Mel and Bumblebee Adventure and Rain and Dave and Jace from Leeton. I was going to say hello to Robin because Robin gardens. Uh, I think I already said that. A lot of Chef is here, and I saw a few more names. Oh, I just got a new mouse pad because my mouse was, and I keep wanting to go off the end of it. Rob is here, and Dusty Flats, and Steven from the Urban White Buffalo Farm, Pauline, Marie. Oh my goodness, so good to see you all. So I thought today, oh, and I also saw a comment that they thought the thumbnail was a ratatouille. It really was, it's slices of carrot and I think there might even be some beets in there. Uh, zucchini. I think anything that you can slice long and you just roll it from the center outwards or outwards inwards, however you'd like to do it, in a tart shell. And I mean, it's beautiful for one thing, and it tastes really nice. And it doesn't, you can do it either really rich or really not. So it depends on what you pour over the top of it. So, yeah, but ratatouille is also a fabulous summer treat, fresh from the garden.
I've done one
Okay.
of those with a kind of a cheese sauce, a light bechamel cheese
Mhm.
sauce. And then I've done it, like olive oil, thyme, salt, pepper. It works great both ways.
Because there's nothing like, we always say fresh vegetables out of the garden. There's nothing like them. Well, there isn't. And so that's absolutely true. Okay, sorry, I was reading. So we thought today we would start talking. Well, first of all, I want to say hello to everyone. And I know we're in like go mode. Almost no matter where you are gardening, April is a big month. Either you're starting to clear your garden a little bit if you're in the southern hemisphere, or you're pushing to get everything out. So thank you for being here, because I know there's probably a whole lot of things that you could be doing right this moment that you are not. So, oh, hello, Laura from the Tiny Garden. Oh, Leighton's not Leighton, Jace is in swim mode. So I think that means he's getting a lot of rain and flood. I saw Mark from Mark's allotment, and his allotment is
Oh,
essentially
yeah.
underwater. I mean, it is. I I would be so depressed. Like, what am I doing? And there's nothing you can do about it
No.
because it's a slope, and oh well, you're at the bottom of it. So I thought today we would start talking about, and I'm trying to do this year, and that is starting with what you're going to do with your produce before you grow it. So I don't know if I imagine a lot of us have gotten to the point where we're looking at a entire tabletop of tomatoes going, oh, what am I going to do with all these? Or we're growing too many zucchini, and what am I going to, no more neighbors want any. Like, we've hit the limit. Uh, so it helps. I think it's going to help me plan more realistically on what I'm going to grow this year. because I want to have like the recipes out. I want to have, if I'm going to preserve it, I want to know how I'm going to preserve it. So the decision fatigue that happens when you're harvesting everything is not playing havoc on, because there's nothing worse than putting a bunch of carrots that you've grown and taken care of from seed in the back of the refrigerator and then realizing they're back there about 2 months later and they're like wands. Like I did that this last year and it broke my heart because I thought
Mhm.
these were gorgeous carrots. Beautiful, dark purple, gorgeous carrots.
I think my worst year of just going crazy in the wrong direction, I put I don't Elle and I were trying to remember if it was 13 or 15 varieties of kale. And we like kale and it's all good,
But
but it was
yeah,
too I was
how many
just giving
things
it
can you,
over the fence. People were going, no more kale."
because kale kind of divides people. Like either you like it or it's, oh, why do people grow that horrible stuff?
And the
Uh,
reality is I've learned I need two
yes.
types, two plants, that's it. Oh, there
Oh,
goes the
you are
apple.
so, look at, I love apple added.
Oh.
Yeah, waste boils my blood. Absolutely, Jace. I'm with you. Uh, even tried to juice them, and they weren't at their prime. I mean, they were gone. Um, so anyway, yeah. So the kale, that's really that's a divider. My husband does not like it. I love it. So I have to like slide it into my salads, but not into his, or into soup that I'll throw some into maybe my soup bowl, but not his. But I do try to hide it from him occasionally because it's good for you, right? So,
You know what's you know what's really cool is wash it and roll it real tight and then cut it really fine so you get long, skinny strips. That works out really good in soup and even as a side dish.
so it's almost a kale spaghetti.
Right. I think it's called chiffonade when
Chiffonade.
you
Yeah.
chiffonade.
Yeah, no, that's I think the smaller you make it, even if you're not a kale lover, you can handle it. Because a lot of people don't like the bitterness or the toughness. I don't mind that. I've never massaged my kale. There's all those salads. Oh, massage it, and I'm like, no, I kind of like the hardiness of it. I mean, that's to me, that's part of it. Uh, oh, Amel makes a green powder with it.
Ooh.
I've seen a lot of people make like fruit powder or vegetable powders. Well, that's interesting. I wonder how that would taste. Yeah. Okay, so I'm kind of I'm back planning. Like, what do I want? And we were talking a little earlier about zucchini. I normally do not grow zucchini because I mean, it produces so much. And most people are like, nope, I don't need one more zucchini from you. The neighbors run away. Uh, but I'd like to preserve it as zucchini bread. So that's how I'm going to preserve that. It just gets made into small loaves of zucchini bread, popped in the freezer. And I think I can get that from one plant.
Oh,
So,
definitely. I typically will either make frozen bags of pureed zucchini for soup or make it into soup. I kind of prefer to make it into soup so you have that fast food right out of the freezer. In the middle of
yeah.
winter, you appreciate it.
So do you use the zucchini as like the base of the soup?
Hmm.
Okay. I've never had that.
Yeah, zucchini, onion, chicken broth, and pick your um, different spices. I always go for lemon thyme as a primary spice
Okay.
or herb,
Oh, okay.
translated to
Well,
herb.
we are allowed to say herb here. because we've got two Americans on the show today, so we can say herb. Uh,
Mm.
but for the rest of you, it's herbs. Uh, yeah, that sounds actually good. I might try that.
It is. It's just a great way to, you know, make it into
Well,
soup and easy.
it almost seems like it'll be a little creamy, just because
You
of.
can you can actually make it cream by adding a little milk or cream to it. I kind
I'm
of
just
like it
thinking
on the
just
brothy
based on the
side.
consistency of zucchini, like that might even taste like a light creamy broth.
You can also add cheese and switch it up that way too. It's very versatile.
Okay. Let's see. Stephen, oh, I've got your comment up there. Uh, Stephen is saying, uh, where did you go, Stephen? There you are. I started pinching off the flowers when there are too many to let them come when you're ready for them. Oh,
Mm.
hello. That is like so obvious. Never did that. What a great idea. Yeah, that's not wasting. It's like we're not gonna, although you could stuff those zucchini blossoms. Okay, now we're getting a little crazy here, but I think that's wise. Don't produce them. Very good. I am also thinking about tomatoes because that for me tends to be my biggest glut. And aside from fresh eating, I was telling Robin earlier that I just pulled out, and this is another thing I think as we think about getting ready for this season. I had to make room in my freezer for what might be coming in this year. So I had several gallon-sized bags full of tomatoes and made those into uh, like an enchilada sauce slash chili base, one that I could use for either one. So I thought that
Yum.
would be really a useful thing to have. And now my freezer is clear of tomatoes. So if I don't have time during the year, when harvest starts, it does not stop. And you got to kind of be quick about what you're doing. A lot of times I will throw them into the freezer. One plus that I did not expect. Have you ever heard of tomato water?
Hmm.
Have you ever tried it?
No.
Oh my goodness. So, when you freeze something, obviously the tomatoes are full of a lot of juice. And I always take the stem out so they're ready to roll when I'm ready to use them. Well, it produced all this water in the bottom. And I'd seen people go, well, you can use this to make rice, blah, blah, blah. And I thought, I'm going to taste it. It's unbelievable. It is like tomato juice that's clear.
Oh,
I mean,
yum.
oh my, I could not believe the flavor. Could not believe the flavor. So I'm going to process a few of those jars too, just to keep, because I thought this is kind of gold. Could
So
you imagine
I,
making like a Spanish rice
oh
with it?
yeah,
Oh my gosh.
really amp
So,
up that flavor. So I'm doing 12 varieties this year, and I typically just do four. So I'm going to have a glut. I have a lot of people are very happy about the fact that I'm probably going to have a glut, but I am going to do salsa for the first time
mm,
and sauce. So I'm going to get those canned up, and then I'll do the same thing in the freezer with the sauce and soup again. I'll freeze tomato soup. Last year I made the best soup from Brad's Atomic Grape and Tim's Taste of Paradise. Oh, that was
ooh,
it was golden color soup,
yeah.
but oh, it was top notch.
Oh, I'm growing Tim's this year, so I'm very excited. Uh, oh, okay. Marie has her husband and grandchildren love pizza. So I cook up a huge batch using onions, peppers, tomatoes, and herbs, then freezing in a single pizza portion size.
Oh, that's
So
a great
your
idea.
yeah, so your toppings are all ready. Yeah, so that's the thoughts that I want to keep having is how can I make all this beautiful produce that's coming in almost more of a fast food option for me, but that's healthy and that we like to eat. So
That's a really, really good idea that Marie has because I do the pesto in the ice cubes, and it's
mhm,
great to just have a ice cube portion of pesto for something.
right.
But sometimes just a little bit of tomato sauce would be great for something, a
Yeah.
little English muffin pizza if you wanted to do that for lunch or something. So I think I'm going to steal that idea. That sounds great.
Yeah, no, I never even thought about getting all the toppings together for pizza. That's a great idea. Thank you, Marie, for sharing that. Um, I do freeze my cherry tomatoes whole, and they can just be popped into things while they're still
Mm.
frozen. So I do still have a couple bags of um, tomatoes or cherry tomatoes, but they're really good if you're doing a quiche or you're doing a uh, what are those called? Frittata. You can just pop them in frozen and let them do their thing, or
So
quickly
do
make.
I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
do they hang together? Or
No, I've taken them all off their trusses.
no, but I mean, does the tomato stay somewhat keep its integrity or does it
Yeah,
get, oh, cool.
yeah. Unless you pop them in a pan and are making like a light tomato sauce, like a fresh tomato sauce,
Mm-hmm.
which is also a nice change. Is to just have some. So that's what I do with a lot of my. Because again, I grow probably more plants than is prudent, but I'm trying so many new types this year. I kind of I don't want not to. So, oh, and dog on the plot. I love this. Uh, and she has a lovely channel, and of course there is a dog on her plot. It's actually her dog, but I just added frozen pesto cubes to pasta sauce literally 2 minutes ago. Yes, yes, that's the beauty of having this stuff ready, right?
It is.
Yeah. Rob never freezes onions. Wow, because you can chop them up. This is one of my favorite things. You just because I grow some sweet onions that aren't going to last. They
Mm-hmm.
won't hang around. So I process those into chopped up onions, and then whenever I'm needing them, I just take a bag out and dump them in the pan. Yeah.
I like them frozen. I like leeks frozen as well. And then, I think we talked about this a couple times ago. When they start to get edgy, you know, you got to do something with them. So
Yes.
freezing them and having them ready to go
Yep.
is great. And sometimes you don't have time and it's a convenience food, right?
Exactly. And here's the good thing: so many of these things can be frozen, and later, after all of the havoc of harvest has passed, you can then just start the preserving process. But throwing them in the freezer, in most cases, is a great way to at least keep because you can then turn that into caramelized leeks or make soup with it and then freeze it again as a soup. Uh, so,
The
oh, okay.
and pickled. We've talked about that before too. Pickled onions are so great to
Oh,
take out and then just use on a sandwich, on like kielbasa, on all kinds of things. Those Elsa Craigs in particular with the Coleman mustard, that made a great pickle.
yeah.
We love that.
No, we always have a jar of pickled onions going in the refrigerator because they're just nice to add to a whole lot of things. Even just rice. If rice is
Oh,
your side for the night, you can throw some pickled onions in that. pops
That
it right
sounds
up.
good.
Yes. Adds just another flavor, which is what I think most of us just want, right?
Exactly. How do you preserve beans? Because I'm kind of a over the top with beans, and
Do you mean like a
I
green bean or a
I do both, but this year the only dry beet I'm going to do are the Greek Gigantes. The Borlati
sure.
could be, but we've talked about that before too. I prefer the flavor when they're just, formed before
Yeah.
they would get to the dry stage. As a matter of
Yeah.
fact, I made a soup this week, cleaning out the freezer like you were talking about, with butternut squash, onions from the freezer, Borlati beans from the freezer, and uh, some chicken broth. And I put in some turkey kielbasa cut up really tiny.
Mm,
Oh my goodness, was that a good soup? And I mean, this is a gotta go soup, right?
right. It's the
Just
refrigerator
using things
soup,
up.
right? Yes. Freezer clean out soup,
Hmm.
which is not bad if your freezer's full of good things, right? Uh yeah, so for me the fresh eating green beans, I'll freeze those more than do. I'm going to try pickled dilly beans this year. I've heard a lot about those. Because we like pickles, so I'm gonna try a jar or two of those, and then the rest I just let dry and use them as dry beans. Because that's
I've
to me that's the
I,
easiest way to preserve them, right?
I've made the
Just
dilly beans, and they're a wonderful condiment. You
okay.
just have to make sure you don't water bath can them too long so that they go too
Wait,
mushy.
yeah,
Um, and we freeze, blanch and freeze
right,
and all of that. Uh, but we're beanaholics. We love our beans.
yeah. And the hard part is that so many um, grocery stores here have beans year round. Like, so you can get a fresh, beautiful green bean. It's not quite as I love my Kalimas. Those are my favorite. Not quite as nice as those, but so okay. And I see someone else saying dilly beans can get mushy. I was thinking more of doing that as a like a refrigerator pickle.
Then they'll definitely stay very crisp. And they'll stay crisp too if you can it, but you just, you have to get that water practically up to temp, put them in there for the 10 minutes and
Get them out.
don't
Yeah,
mess. Get them out.
right. And don't
Because
pressure can them. And
you
do
you
not pressure can them
you
under
want
any
them still
circumstances.
a little crunchy because that that's what makes them fun.
That's the point. Is pickles need to have a little crunch to them. Do you add that pickle crunch to it?
Um, yes, because I have tried the Mrs. Wages, and that is in the Mrs. Wages mix. So
Okay.
yeah, the pickle crisp or pickle
Yeah,
crust, yeah,
pickle crisp.
crunch.
That's it. Yes. Um, Stephen makes a three bean salad and cans some jars for winter. You know, it's funny
Ooh.
that you said that. I have not had three bean salad in, I couldn't tell you. I think I was like seriously young the last time I had it, but it's so good.
So like green beans and wax beans and the little shelly bean
Yeah,
and then
isn't
some
that?
onion.
Yeah,
Ooh, Stephen, that is a great idea.
yeah. Thank you for reminding. If you blanch your beans 3 minutes in salt water, then ice, bath, and freeze them. You know, I used to not blanch my vegetables because I thought, why am I going to do this extra step? And then I realized you blanch to kill the enzyme in those foods that are going to continue to make them decompose. So blanching is really important if you're freezing them or saving them.
And the color, it
Sets it.
seems to be a much more vibrant color that it
Yeah.
maintains.
Do you have a freeze dryer by any chance?
Oh, that's on a big wish list, but they're over $2,000.
Oh, I last I saw they were over three.
Oh
So
boy.
I know. But I sometimes I think, oh gosh, that would be so fabulous to have one of those. But yeah, yeah, they're a little
You have
pricey.
you have to have a space for them. I understand they're kind of noisy. Does anybody in the chat have one?
Well, and I
Um,
usually see people who have them, they're not in their kitchen. They're like off in another room somewhere. Uh,
it would be cool, but
I know.
that's a big trigger.
See, I feel like a neighborhood should go in on one, and you sign up for your time slots because they're just crazy expensive.
Oh, I've
Uh,
seen people freeze eggs and all kinds of neat things.
Crazy things, yes.
So you could really save money, like sometimes eggs go like 1/3 of their normal price, and you could stock up and um,
Well, but most of the people I see with freeze dryers have their own chickens.
yeah,
So,
that's true. An endless supply.
oh yeah. Yeah, so they have a very endless supply. So, what are some things? I'm going to ask the chat this. What are some ways that you preserve your harvest that comes in? And particularly like things that you get a lot of all at the same time, which green beans can be that. I try to stagger mine, but they don't want to stagger quite as much as I want them to. So they do come in pretty hot and heavy. What else comes in hot and heavy? Well, the celeriac almost always comes in together. Celery you can kind of parcel, just take
You
the outer stuff.
you can, but I always end up having a big wonk at the end. But it makes wonderful celery soup. Oh, really, really good. A little bit creamy. Good.
Okay. Uh, so I think freezers are kind of a really good thing to have if you grow a lot of produce because that's just a quick way to gosh, I keep reading. Okay, Marie is talking about, asparagus spears. Oh my goodness. Yeah, we have 36 asparagus plants. There are two of us in our home. Uh, I might have been a little overzealous with the size of my asparagus bed. So when those start coming in, like you can't eat that much asparagus that quickly. So
Cream of asparagus soup.
I've never had that either.
Oh my gosh, it's so good.
You know why? I think the only asparagus soup I've ever tried was Campbell's back when I was a kid, and it was like, "Ooh," but I imagine, yeah, homemade almost everything. She freezes them topped with water. Interesting.
Mm.
Never heard that. Very interesting. Huh. I usually make them into something and freeze that. Or I'm gonna try some pickled asparagus spears this year, which I've never done. Gonna give that a shot.
That that is probably going to be really, really delicious, right up there with dilly beans.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought that it might be, it's worth trying once, right? Uh, you're absolutely correct, Locke. Um, Freeze drying is like it's like the greatest. It's a cool, cool, cool thing. So yeah, so the asparagus, I also make a tart out of it, and I think I'm gonna try freezing it as an unbaked tart and
Okay.
see if because sometimes when you make a tart, you want it to be warm, but you don't want to cook it 3 times before it is warm. So I'm gonna see if I can freeze that uncooked. I think that might be
You could
a
also
nice way of doing
just
it.
freeze dry just the toppings and then ready to add to a, a tart or a puff pastry.
Yeah, because it's usually just a puff pastry I use.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, that would be good.
Less
Now,
freezer space.
yeah, do you blanch your asparagus before you would freeze them?
Um, I don't have an
Yes.
asparagus bed, so
Okay,
I can't comment really.
I guess I just need to look that up. Um, oh, and yes, uh, okay, two things funny here. Uh, oh, that's not it. Well, that was funny, but um, Jace's strawberries never make it in the house. Absolutely, I feel like some things just need to be for the gardener. Um, and uh, we've got chilies this year, so you can make hot sauce. That's the other thing I need to get going on. Is I have an incredible amount of chilies in the freezer, so I can't ferment them, but I can make them into hot sauce. Uh,
You need
so
to
I'm
make
very
a video for us because I really want to try that this year too.
making hot sauce.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I've never done
No, I
it.
think we did make a well, we made part of a video yesterday on the enchiladas, but we haven't pressure canned them yet, and we're going to do that tomorrow. So that video will be coming out soon on how we did that. Um, and that was I will never not make sauce like that without New Mexico um, dried chilies and chipotles again because the flavor they add. Oh my goodness, crazy!
Yum.
And I think it was Pauline was asking, "What's a dilly bean?" Did I just see that? I am not. Well, so anyway, a dilly bean, and forgive me if I'm incorrect here because I have not made them, is just a pickled green
Just
bean.
a just a pickled green bean. You use the same brine as you would for a dill pickle. Um, it's delicious. Rob said his wife made gooseberry jam for the first time last year, and it only lasted 3 days. I just got two gooseberry bushes. I'm very excited. I got two currant bushes and a mulberry tree.
Nice. Now
So
mulberries, they grow quite big, don't they?
I got the dwarf one.
Okay. 'Cause
So, but it's still, yeah, it still can be, but I think I'll probably top it. I mean, I could let it get big, but you would never be able to pick up there at the top.
well, I have a friend who has a mulberry tree, and they just lay sheets down on the ground and then shake the snot out of the tree, and all the
And then it
mulberries fall
falls.
onto the so, I thought, "Wow, that's a very prudent way to get it all done."
That's
Uh,
clever. I also have blackberries, strawberries, and blueberries and cherry trees. So same thing, I'll preserve those by making jam and freezing them. I think my one cherry tree is is really loaded. If we can protect it from the cicada onslaught, I'm hoping that it
because it's a small
blossoms,
it's
gets
like a young tree.
pollinated before we have to net it.
Yeah, because if it's young, they like that bark.
Yep, it's
Yeah,
younger.
yeah. Yeah, I just bought 2 cherry bushes. So it's a
Ooh,
bush, not a tree, and they
is
grow
that
like 4 feet by 4 feet.
that Juliet one that can grow all the way up into Canada?
I don't think it's Juliet. There's 2 names. It's like Jane and Josh, because you need them to
Okay,
cross-pollinate.
okay.
Uh, so, those are gonna go in maybe even, like, tomorrow, because 'tis the time for they're all blossoming on my kitchen counter, but, I think they probably need to go out. But I'm excited to have, like, a cherry bush
Hmm.
and not a tree.
They're
So and
supposed
it's
to
the
be,
Montmorsery cherry, so it's the sour cherry, and, I'm very I'm curious to see how that will do.
It should do really well. I could have kicked myself. I didn't know a thing about them, and Costco had them. And
Uh,
I went home, waited a couple of days after I did a
oh,
little
can't
research
do
and
that
said,
at can't you have to
went
go
back,
on your
all
phone while
gone.
you're in Costco and research it. Yeah. Oh, I have done that so
They
many
had
times.
like 200 of them. I didn't
That
think it was
doesn't
gonna.
matter because there's 500 people coming in the store in the next hour. So, yeah, I'm always like, "We have a deal now." Uh, no, I think I said Jane and Josh or Jane and James, whatever. There was a female in there, Lock. Yep. Uh, uh, yeah, we have a deal, like, depending on who's at Costco. If you think it's something that we're gonna like, get it, because we can always take it back the next day
That's
when they
true.
need more, because they're already sold out of those things. So, yeah, no, that's you can't take 2 days. And as you said that, I thought, "Oops." Yeah, that's
Oh.
like 8 years in regular lifetime.
Oh my goodness.
Because I think the
Oh,
UK has Costco's too, don't they?
pickled Marie Louise says, I barbecue red peppers, de-seed, remove the skin, and freeze in portions to use in recipes. And I pickle roasted peppers. Oh my goodness, that sounds delightful.
Yeah, pickled roast I did do a lot of roasting red peppers and putting them away. Absolutely delicious, and you can throw those in roasted tomato soup. Really, brings up the whole flavor, but what a great idea. But I love the
She,
idea of pickling the peppers
the
once they're
peppers for
roasted.
sure. I mean, I've done that before, but not roasting first. I think that's another level. That sounds good.
Well, don't you think everything tastes better roasted?
Mm.
I
It,
mean, broccoli's not broccoli, Brussels sprouts, they're okay, but when they're roasted, they're like candy.
yeah,
I mean, there's just
it really
something it
does.
just yes.
So Jay says, store potatoes by turning them into vodka.
Well, that really increases its shelf life, that's for sure. Unless, of
Oh.
course, you drink a lot of vodka, and then it really doesn't, but, uh, okay, so goose now don't you find a gooseberry difficult to harvest?
Well, I I swore off of thorny things a few years back, and I have gooseberries now to put in the yard, and I have two rose bushes to put back in the yard. So
Oh,
thorns are coming back into my life.
yeah, because when I see people with those and the thorns look, and then it's, "Oh, ooh, ah, it got me. Oh, didn't," and I thought, "Wow, are they that good that they're worth dealing
Oh,
with?"
they're tasty. They're a little tart, but
Okay,
I'm
but that
excited.
would be what makes them tasty, I think.
I
I
have
prefer a tart.
two varieties, a Pixwell and oh, I can't remember right now.
Okay.
But uh they say
I'm gonna
they do better if you have two varieties.
Yeah, so I'm gonna see how you do with that this year before because I almost pulled the trigger on it, and I thought, "You don't want pinchy things, because 'cause I'm adding a rose bush this year too, because I can't believe I don't have one in my garden, and I thought I would just those thorns I will deal with all day long because there's a rose attached, right?
Well, they were at Costco. The price was amazing for two bare root type, and this one is a really fragrant one too. So that's what got me. Not past the pretty's good, but the
Right.
fragrance, I was like, done, I'll get that.
Oh, yeah, the one I have coming it's an old rose scent,
Hmm.
and to me, though so it's like a grandiflora or like a shrub rose, and it's, Gladys is it Gladys Jekyll is the name of the rose, and a couple people said, "Oh, I have that one, I always have that in my garden." It's like, okay, first rose I ever bought out of a catalog. That I didn't smell how it, but I thought, old rose, you got me. You got me at old rose for sure.
My neighbor has old roses with beautiful hips, but they spray. They put
Uh,
chemicals, pesticides and whatever. So she's offered for me to take the hips before, and I'm like, no, thank you. We'll just leave them there for the birds.
yeah, that's also the other hard part about even foraging for rose hips. Uh, like or buying them. I've seen them at the store, and I'm like, these commercially produced. Like, what is on these things? It's so you don't want to make tea out of it because it's like, yeah, no, thank you. I don't want to soak my tea in chlorine or whatever. No, way worse than that. But
Way worse.
yeah. So I'm also seeing some chili jam here. Uh, I would love to know how this is made because I love the idea of hot and sweet,
Ooh.
like cowboy candy. I don't know if you've
Hmm.
ever made that. I mean, that's the bomb diggity for me. Talk about hot and sweet. That is the quintessential hot sweet. Oh my goodness, there are like hundreds of comments here that I've missed. Um,
Well, the other thing I do it with my blackberries is I put ginger in it's a good jam combo.
yeah,
So
because it's heat but not hot.
I wonder
You know,
how
it,
ginger would be with chilies.
mm,
Mm.
it's a
Doesn't that seem-
different kind of heat.
Yeah.
Well, and your ginger is doing so well.
Yes, it is.
Yes, I'm having a really good ginger year too. Doing nothing different than I've done for years and years and years. And I think mine are about 3 feet tall now
Oh,
and
fabulous.
have so much foliage. So
Mine
I
are
think,
about mine are about 18 inches. Here, I'll grab them.
yeah, no, they're beautiful. Beautiful.
So I've got three that are really doing well, and in another container, I have one that's got a little sprout. This had a really nice sprout on here too, but it's drying up, the third sprout.
Yeah, I had one just shrivel up too. It got to be about 3 4 inches and then it just died. I don't know. You know, I guess that's nature and they do what they're going to do. But yeah, I think it's going to be a good year for ginger. Um, Margaret is asking if I have a recipe. There we go. For cowboy candy. I do. Okay, and now here's the deal. I am so behind on my website because I'm trying to post recipes and various things. Because somebody asked me about this last year, I will get my cowboy candy up on there so that you can go and get it anytime you would like. I will. I'm going to do that by next Wednesday. Okay, that's
Ooh.
you can all hold me accountable to that if my cowboy candy is not up there because I have a lot of asparagus. I'm trying to at least do this in the order of harvest to make sure this year we have some recipes. Um, so I've been really working on my asparagus area first. Um,
Stephen said ginger blackberry tea is good, and I totally agree. Because when I'm making jam and I'm, de-seeding, I end up with a lot of juice. And then I either drink it hot or cold, and adding ginger is really, really good. I agree.
yeah, I think I did a January last year, and I think I made a blackberry ginger jam, and it's like a combo made in heaven. I mean, that is ginger is so cool. I just love
I,
it.
I'm really excited to grow this, especially since it's working.
It's doing beautifully. Whatever you're doing, it is working beautifully.
I just followed your steps.
Well, and that's all I did this year, and I've got the biggest ginger I think I've ever had this early. So I'm looking forward to a very nice take of ginger this year. Uh,
Oh, Jay said, if anyone has a recipe for creeping buttercup, let me know. I'm great at growing that. Oh, my neighbor gave me some, Jace, and I planted it thinking, oh, these are so beautiful. About 5 years. Took me about 5 years to get rid of them.
so it's a weed,
It just, ew, baby.
or it's very invasive. We'll put it that
Very
way.
invasive.
Okay, and you can use it to, like, it's produce somehow.
Um, I put it on because they were pretty. The little buttercups. I was a young gardener and oh, they
Okay,
were free.
sure,
They were coming from my neighbor. Yay, okay.
sure. Uh, okay. Question: how damp are you keeping the compost for the ginger? Mine's not looking too hot. I, I keep mine reasonably moist.
Yeah,
Kind of like when I'm growing sweet potato slips. I keep it reasonably moist so that the potato or the ginger knows, hey, it's grow time. They're not sitting like it, but it's damp.
it
Um,
yeah, it's not sitting. I agree. I'd say, Joe, I've watered these every other day. Is that about what you're doing too, Audrey?
no, you're watering them a lot more than I am, but
Okay.
maybe I water them a little heavier. But I water mine about 2, 3 times a week. So I
Okay.
guess but it's more close to two. But still, I keep it. And I did see someone who was trying to get their sweet potato slip started, and the dirt was like bone dry, and I'm like, it's just not going to work. You got to give the potato, like, let it know it's time to grow into this dirt here. So yeah, maybe you're just not keeping it. Maybe just try maybe one extra watering, Joe.
Because this is clear, I
Yeah,
can see if there's too
aren't
much
those
water
roots? But
pooling
aren't
at the
their roots
bottom.
just gorgeous? Look
Yeah,
at how big those roots are. I just love.
they're
And then when
kind of
you pull it
crazy.
out, it's going to look like a tarantula spider because the roots are hairy and yeah, they're not attractive roots, but I'll take them. Uh,
I'm excited.
oh, I am too, and it tastes so different. It is so hot. It's wonderful. How deep is the compost you have the ginger in? Uh, I'm gonna say like 3, 4 inches because
I,
I have
I,
mine
I
buried all the way. Yeah, that's
I'm
about
gonna say, I'm gonna say like, yeah, about the same, huh?
yeah. I have mine buried all the way. Some people just leave it on top. I bury it all the way in and let it know it's time to put out some greenery. Uh, oh, fresh creeping buttercup causes blisters in the mouth if eaten. So, Jace,
Ooh.
I don't know that you're gonna wanna you're gonna wanna do anything with that other than maybe I don't know, make pots that have pretty flowers. I don't know. Yeah, blisters in the mouth. That really sounds horrifying. Okay. And that's probably organically grown buttercups. So imagine. Uh Rob, ginger biscuits are like ginger cookies for us, correct?
Mhm.
Because yeah, I live with a man who nothing like ginger snaps. So that's
There
always on
have
me.
Has he ever had the ones from Trader Joe's they call triple
Yes.
ginger?
Yes.
They're the best.
I know. And then and he likes them really crispy. So it's not like a nice chocolate chip cookie. It's like break your teeth, like, loves those. And I used
Me
to bake
too.
those a lot, but my baking days are not quite in front of me here. Will ginger from the grocery store grow? It will. You might want to soak it, or if you can get a piece of organic ginger, usually they're not treated as much with what is that? No, a sprouting
Mhm.
inhibitor.
Mhm.
But yeah, ginger from because if you just leave it in the cupboard, you go back a little while later, it'll be sprouting some eyes, just like a potato will. Ooh, triple ginger cookies and Jamaican ginger beer. Wow, that's like a ginger fest. Yeah. Okay, so ginger, and for that, I just freeze them. I just freeze my ginger. That's my method of,
Do you
cut 'em.
grate it and then freeze it?
No, because even when it's frozen, it'll grate so easily.
Okay, so you just freeze it in a clunk and then
Yeah, I separate, take off all the upper growth, and then sometimes we'll cut it into, like, singular knobs, but then I let those all kind of depends what I need it for, so I don't do anything with it, other
okay.
than freeze it, and that does I even freeze my grocery store stuff because it lasts, like, long time, and you can just grate it, as you need it. So, yeah. Let's see, what else? We're gonna talk about something else too. Oh, I know what it was. About, getting, like, the beds in place. I think it's always good as we're particularly if we're growing these things in our home or on the allotments, is to have a keen thought about where they're going, kind of what's gonna follow it. Do I need to do anything special to it? Um, so that you're not like, "Oh, I should have done this 2 weeks ago before I planted. Oops, forgot, and now I'm gonna try to side dress it." Which can work, but in some cases can burn your plants. So, and I'm not saying you need to have a spreadsheet or a database or whatever, but have some thoughts on, do I need to amend this with anything before I put these particular crops there? And if I need a structure, get the structure up before you need it up so that it's just there and you can plant and move on. Because sometimes that can be, you think, "Oh, I needed to do this. I gotta put up my pea trellis. I've gotta," and you kinda talk yourself out of getting them out the day they probably should get out. So I think it's, just a good practice to kind of, as much as we're looking with the end in mind, I think it's also good to look, what else do I need to make sure, uh oh, parsnip sap can burn the skin.
Oh, I get that.
Wow,
Big long name, photophytosis or something.
okay,
I don't grow them anymore because it was like second or third degree burns. It's a reaction with the sap and the sun.
okay. So I wonder if you were to only harvest those on, like, really cloudy days? I don't know.
I don't really have a space in my garden to like sequester it where I'm not going to be
Right.
rubbing up against it. So I'll buy them at the farmer's market.
Well,
Some things.
sometimes that's what we gotta do. I might be doing that with my pepper plants this year. They are literally like, they're still, like, this big.
Oh,
I've never had peppers do this. So, yeah, so I'm thinking, "Okay, I'm gonna need to go to Blocks and Schwartz's and see what they kind of plants they have." And I have so
my
many different
mine are
types growing.
doing really, really good, and I'm the one who always buys the little pepper starts. It's one thing
Yeah,
I don't do from seed, but I'm having really good luck. They're they're I mean, they're not gorgeous, but I think that's pretty
oh,
good
no,
for
that's a
where we need to be right now, huh?
yeah,
Because
okay,
these
you have a
can't go
little
out
one?
till June, right? Unless,
Exactly. So I'm still hoping that they'll come on, but I'm thinking I'm losing my faith that these things are, and we've already potted them on once. So they're in single, like 50 cell size trays. And I'm thinking, okay, the next thing is to move them up to their own little pot and see if that, but I don't see their roots. Like they're just, they're not thriving. They're alive, but they're not thriving. And I usually put out pretty big pepper plants. So
okay.
this is a new one for me.
Yeah, I remember last year they were touching your lights, weren't they?
Oh my, like I couldn't find enough room for them. Uh, and this year they could be on my seedling. I have a seedling one up at the top there because it's very close to the lights. They could be up there still. Uh,
Hmm,
oh, phytophotodermatitis.
that's the
Ah,
one.
well, thanks, Dusty.
Some people get it from carrots and other things too. I don't. I'm fine with that, but the parsnips, ooh.
Okay, Pete at the triangle is saying JB curse with your peppers. I hope JB, we give JB a hard time on potty mouth, but he's a he's a kind soul. So I don't know if he would do that. Wow. Well, I'm going to be careful with my parsnips now that I see this because I have absolutely no pigment in my skin. So I wonder if that makes it more sensitive.
So with regards to getting ready, I'm kind of lucky because we always do it in the fall. So my spring, it's not something on the to-do list.
Mm,
In the first week of November, typically, I have compost delivered. We put down, clear everything out and 2 to 4 inches of organic leaf mold compost put down. And then I'm good to go in the spring. Now I have a new growing space in that I did these Dollar Tree stackable planters,
mhm.
and I will have 54 little places to grow. So I was out there today all set to do some starts, and I'm like, why am I going to put these in cells when I could just put them in the little stackable pots right away?
Yeah,
I don't need to pre-start. So that's going to be interesting. Keep making sure that those stay well watered and
right.
seeing what can actually grow in them. But I'm pretty excited. And crazy thing, that is my best video. It has over 1,000 views.
Well, and you
And I,
never
I have
know.
no
Well,
idea. Is
that's
it the
the other
subject
thing. You never
matter?
know what's going to hit at the right time with the right curiosity. But those little the Dollar Tree ones have like made a big splash because they're like, okay, I don't have to buy a green stalk. I can do
Mhm.
it this way. My watering's going to be different, but I can still do it. So I think it's a great idea. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
because
actually
each of them cost me, I'm sorry, $20. So for
that's
$40, I have 54 little extra
yeah,
little
that's
growing spaces that are vertical.
yeah, that's way cheap. Yeah,
I'm excited.
that's really good. Betty Barnes is asking because of my peppers. Thank you for feeling my pain. Did you get some bad potting mix? Last time I made failure to thrive, it was the soil mix. I don't think I did because everything else is growing in the same potting mix. What I did notice is that uh I got more fungus gnats with this one. And I don't
Mm.
know if those have the ability to stunt things. But I have the yellow sheets of sticky sheets of death hanging in there. So a lot of them have been stuck to that. But yeah, I think my soil is pretty good. I think what I want to do is just repot the whole bunch, put them in their own little things, and just see what happens. Right?
This is the first year I did the boiling water thing,
Mhm.
but I saw so many people having the fungus gnats. I'm
Yep.
like, I can do this step. I'm gonna try it.
Yeah.
Thankfully, knock on wood, never had fungus gnats, but I didn't want to be,
But like
because
last year, I had 0. I didn't have one fungus gnat. This year, almost from the get-go, and we were doing boiling water,
oh, you
unless it was
did?
the cocoa core, because, I mean, they're not gonna live in cocoa core, they wanna live in potting mix. Uh, but I think we need to boil it more, I don't know. Um, because
I
those are
Yeah, I left it. I put it in the bucket and then left it kind of covered for 10 minutes. I mean, I didn't know what you were supposed to do, but
right. Yeah. Oh, no, Dusty's saying, "I heard someone had more gnats from the core." Huh.
oh, wow.
Oh. Well, that one we didn't use boiling water for. Well, that could be the problem, but it seemed to come in as soon as we started using, up potting them into potting mix. That's when it
Okay.
seemed like they were, yeah. I hate bugs. I shouldn't say I hate
Yeah.
bugs. I
Well,
really
that
dislike bugs. Hate's a strong word, but I
so
really
so Pauline said she put some compost in the microwave. How did that work out? Because I saw that on Eli and Kate's channel, microwaving the compost. Pauline, how did that work out?
Oh, interesting. Now this I'd not heard before from Locke. Fungus gnats is totally an overwatering issue. It's got nothing to do with the soil. That's just where they breed. Um,
Huh.
See, I thought they lived in the soil. Like maybe, okay, I'm gonna have to. Oh, Pauline's saying it works really well.
Oh, great.
Huh.
Just do
Okay.
it. Just have to do it in small batches then.
Yeah.
In the yeah,
Yeah, the microwave. Yeah.
hey, if
Uh,
you can avoid the gnat thing,
yeah, and I do water from the bottom, Rob. So I don't, I didn't have one last year, and I loved it. So I'll figure it out. And honestly, we're getting to the point now where so much can be taken out during the day just to get a little fresh air and get used to outdoors, that I think I'm not going to be doing a whole lot inside at this point. I've got this
yeah.
whole big thing on wheels, so I'm going to see if we can wheel it out in its entirety onto my deck.
Oh, that sounds good.
Got to make a few measurements to make sure it fits under all the doorways. But wouldn't that be great? Just sit it outside
Oh
for,
yeah.
5 hours, bring it in, and
Oh
then we can
yeah,
leave
yeah.
it in the dining room because the dining room's right at that exit. And I thought, wow, that would make life way easier in this whole getting things hardened off, right?
I just started the shuffle this week and I'm like,
Yeah.
but in 1 week's time it's going to be old very fast.
Oh, it's already old, and we've only done it a couple times. I have 16 flats over there, and at all at
Oh,
various stages. And I left my broccoli outside last night. I thought, that's it. You sink or swim, dudes. It's gonna be nice. It's not gonna be it was very hot yesterday, particularly since we've been in freezing weather. Uh, but I thought it's gonna be we don't see any frost, uh, at least in the next 2 weeks. So I think we might be I'm not gonna say that because 'cause we've had freezes in May. So, but I'm thinking, we
but they
might be
should
out.
be tougher little plants by May, or
Exactly. Particularly if we can put them out there every day, they'll be happy little campers to get in.
sometimes
Uh,
you got to do a little tough love so that they, get used to it.
Yes. Yes. Oh my goodness, we're at the top of the hour. This goes so quickly. Fungus gnats eat fungus. Fungus grows in wet conditions. Roots rot in wet. You guys have intrigued me to do some research on fungus gnats because now I have a whole different take on them. That reminds me, I have stuff on the porch.
So
So
that's why
yeah,
they suggest putting cinnamon on the top then, as a
which
fungus
which we have
prohibitor.
done. Yeah, which we have done. Uh, yeah, I have those yellow sticky sheets of Death Up, and there's all kinds of little fungus gnat bodies glued to there. So yeah, that's a happy thought, isn't it? Little death sheets hanging.
You, something different, if anybody has the same problem as me, the pumper, it just gets my carpal tunnel singing a song. So I've gone to these condiment, uh, whatever, and filling them with water, and then you can just drip the water on your seedlings. So if anybody else has carpal tunnel like me, that's another option.
That's a good tip. Good tip. Well, uh, we're in for an hour here. I wanted to say thank you so much, everybody. I hope that you're going to have a great gardening week. And I hope that maybe you got something, if not from us, from the chat, because a lot of seasoned gardeners in that chat.
Lots
So
of great stuff.
yeah, yeah. And I'm gonna look into gnats. Yeah. We did this bug special. Remember we did that a few weeks ago
Yeah.
with Steve? I was having nightmares about all the bugs that I had been researching and looking into. And I thought, oh, I'm not a fan. I know they're necessary. I'm not a fan. So anyway, Robin, thank you so much. You're always a pleasure to talk with. And yeah,
Thank you. I love this group. I look forward to this every week, whether I'm on or in the chat. It's just the best group.
yeah. So go and give Robin's channel. But I think a lot of you, I mean, I know we all kind of know all of you that are here. So if not, please uh, go over and give her a follow and look at some of her videos. They're very good, very informative. And we will see you next week. Same time, same place. All right. Happy gardening.
Take
Bye.
care. Thanks. Bye-bye.